Hello there, Mr. Zero Followers, No Content account. I know that this was supposed to be an insult to me, calling me a basement dweller, but I think that this would be a good time for a learning moment. I actually don't live in a basement. I live 10 stories up in an apartment building. You could see it in the background when I'm doing my videos where I'm walking a dog. And one of the reasons why I don't is because I have asthma, and that's actually a really interesting thing because studies have shown that if you do live in a basement, that's actually very bad for your respiratory system in general. Basement apartments tend to collect moisture more easily than apartments that are elevated. And that leads to problems with mold, completely independent of problems like flooding if your basement apartment doesn't have a way to guide rainwater away from it. Basement apartments also tend to get less light, which is bad for people who have depression and anxiety, which I do. And in large urban areas, they tend to have poorer air quality in general, not just in terms of interacting with asthma, but in terms of allergens and stuff like that, because the air that is on the ground level of the street ends up going into your apartment. That being said, basement apartments are cheap, much cheaper than high-rise apartments, and it is entirely understandable if you live in one. But if you do, I would suggest that you invest in a good air purifier, that's the first thing, a good dehumidifier, that's the second, and be sure to have your walls and floors checked for mold routinely. Finally, I suggest that you get a good UV lamp so that you get more UV light in your apartment, and that will allow you to produce vitamin D, which will be better for your general mood. Basement dwelling is something that is entirely possible. You just have to take precautions that people in other apartments don't need to take. And most of these things, like the dehumidifier, the air purifier, and UV lamps, are only going to run you maybe a couple $100. And that will vastly increase your quality of life and happiness, which means you won't have to post comments like this to try and feel better about yourself. Hope that advice helped, Marco Whitakay. I hope you are a happier person from this point onward.